Good morning, everyone, and welcome. This is session 30 out of 47. Man, a lot of sessions, but a lot of amazing speakers, stories, everything that have been coming out of each and every one of these sessions. I am here with the RapidDeploy crew, and they are also a Diamond sponsor. So thank you, all of you, very, very much for for the company being a sponsor and for supporting this conference. This is the last Dare to Be Great conference, but I don't know. There have been a lot of people who have been saying that they're going to try to convince me to do another one. So we'll see what happens. Maybe the next one will be in person, but we'll figure that out when the time comes. This has been it's been pretty crazy. It's been really good, but it's been crazy. So this session today is called "From the Frontlines: A Conversation on Creating Technology That Reduces Emergency Response Times." Now, I want to give my panelists here for this discussion, a moment to give a little information about themselves, and then we're going to go into this discussion. So, Jonathan, if we can start with you, please.
Sure. Hi, my name is Jonathan Dean. I've been in the public safety arena for about 28 plus years. Recently, as a business analyst, a software consultant, training specialist, and also a data auditor. Prior to entering the private sector, I worked in 911, PSAP Center as a communications operator, training operator, and also a supervisor. So I've traveled throughout the U.S. and even the Cayman Islands, working with various public safety agencies. And I've learned a lot about the industry through those travels and just the entire public safety arena. So I'm excited about being a part of the team here at RapidDeploy as a training specialist. And I'm very proud of the cutting edge technology and products that we have to offer that are greatly impacting the public safety world from the inside out. So I like the way RapidDeploy actually recognizes every role in the communications center or in the public safety arena from the inside out, from the communications operators to the officers to everyone, even down to the citizens with providing assistance. So I'm glad to be a part of this forum today.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. And Chad?
Good morning or good afternoon, where you may be in Senior Product Manager here at RapidDeploy. Prior to moving into product management 7 years ago, I worked in the public safety industry for more than 15 years as a police, fire, EMS dispatcher, shift supervisor, communications officer for the Texas Highway Patrol, an EMT, volunteer firefighter, and ultimately a 911 director for many years. In that time, I helped 2 centers achieve ACE accreditation. I held my EMD advanced certification for the entirety of my 911 career, and also certified as a communications manager through the International Academies of Emergency Dispatch. Thanks for letting me be here today.
Excellent. Man, that's a lot of experience. So we were talking in the green room a little bit before we started, and you bring a lot to the table, which just talking with all of you already.
I've been around for a little while. I've been in the industry for a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit, yeah. and we're going to be getting into a lot more of this. I think it's one of the best things. Just to jump in here really quick before we get to Jeremy and Lucas, that the RapidDeploy has all of you, coming from public safety. It helps to be able to mold not just the product that's out there, but the experience alone. The experience that comes with it. It helps mold that part of it. I think that's one of the best things. So thank you for being here, Jeremy. Go ahead.
Good. Thanks for having us, Ricardo. So my background, I served as a EMT and paramedic for approximately about 13 years. Traveled around the country a little bit, grew up in the West Coast and ended up down in the South. So got at least some good national experience in that regard. Worked my way up in the ranks. Also, worked as a operations manager for a short period of time before I made the jump out of the field there and moved into the software industry. So I've worked for a couple of companies now in the software industry related to public safety. Managed a client services team to start with, had a little endeavor with the product space as well. And I'm now here with RapidDeploy as an implementation specialist. So kind of the technical resource on any new customers coming on board, going through all the rigmarole that's involved with getting a customer live and ready to go with the applications.
Perfect. Welcome. And Lucas, go ahead, please.
Hey, all. I'm Lucas Artusi. I'm the head of product design at RapidDeploy. I spent a lot of my design career working in healthcare before I came into public safety. So, since we finished and we fixed healthcare and it's all better, I thought we should come over to public safety and work on that instead, because that problem was solved. I'm an EMT. I volunteer with Travis County Search and Rescue. We're a wilderness first response organization. We do wilderness search and rescue in Central Texas and the surrounding area. So still get called out, still have to drop out of meetings to go look for people.
Wow. I can't even imagine, like you're saying, doing those meetings and everything, and then getting that call and like, deuces, I'm out. I got to go, save some lives. I got to head out and everything. And, everyone else is left. Like, all right. Okay. I guess that's how it's going down. We had something yesterday during one of the sessions where, we had co-presenters going, and one of the presenters was running, the presentation, and he just like kind of dropped out. Like he hit mute and left really quick, and then came back, and he goes, "Our entire radio system went down." So he's like,
Wow.
"Have a good one. I'll try to jump back in here." So, they were trying to figure that out, but the co-presenter didn't have that, that PowerPoint to continue going. So we had to, troubleshoot on the fly and get it worked out. But I imagine that being kind of like you as well, being, in a session or somewhere else, and then getting that call out and going and doing what it is that you do as well, which is, search and rescue. So that is awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So all of you who are here in the audience and everything, if you have any questions or anything at all, please use the Ask a Question feature, or you can just throw them in the comments as well. We have the ability to talk back and forth, and we'll be getting into this, conversation now. As you hear, each one of them comes from either the chair or some discipline of public safety. You all worked as dispatchers, EMT, first responders, search and rescue, any one of those. But how did you decide to transition your career into, from the front lines of 911? And again, you're still doing it as well, which I think is pretty awesome that, you're still doing it in one way or another. I miss dispatch myself. I definitely miss a lot of the stuff. I worked on midnights for the entire time, except for a small stint in the mornings, which was not great. But midnight shift was my jam. I loved midnight shift. That's what I did. And it was hard to make that decision to transfer over. It took a few weeks of a lot of thinking to switch from dispatch to becoming an industry partner like you all. But I knew that in one way or another, I was going to be able to do more with, with my background and with the company that I was going to be able to continue to help those in 911, whether it be those within the trenches of 911, answering the phone calls, or the community as a whole. And I feel like I can kind of see that with a lot of you as well. So what went into that transition, to switching from the front lines to going to become an industry partner, developing tech that is revolutionizing the way that your colleagues in public safety operate? Chad, let's start with you.
Yeah, so for me, it really just kind of happened. From the agency I was working for 7+ years ago, I was 911 director, and we covered a 17,000 square mile service area. And the CAD system we were using at the time and the reporting structure we had at the time just did not meet our needs for the size agency we were, with a mixture of urban versus rural. And it was an ambulance service, and having to meet response time compliance and contractual obligations, and just monitoring that on a day-to-day basis down to the dispatcher level, and having them understand what that meant, not just to our agency, but what it meant to arrive in a timely manner to our callers. There was no software product at the time, and really even still to this point, that met our needs until we decided to create something ourselves in-house. And so that really started the juices flowing internally with me, if you will, of this desire for technology and software that just helped us be better at our job. And by us, I mean from the dispatchers all the way through to the responders, up through administration, to be able to have insight and access to the data in real time that we needed, but also give that same access to data and real time abilities to the communications officers, and have them understand what it meant to arrive on time or properly position our units where they needed to be. And so, you're always worried about the caller, patient, victim, first responder, helping them in the moment. But moving across the aisle, the technology, software side seemed just like a very logical next step when the opportunity presented itself. And so I got the chance and I jumped, and I really saw it as not just being able to help a single individual anymore at a given time or a single agency or jurisdiction. I now get to use those skills I learned in the industry as a dispatcher, as an EMT, as a 911 director, et cetera, to impact everyone in the industry that chooses to use our products, as well as every caller, patient, victim that comes into contact with those agencies. So it's been a tremendous 8 years. I was truly satisfied with what I was doing at the time, and really felt that being actually in public safety on that side of it was going to be my career until I retired. And I was perfectly happy with that. These opportunities just fell in my lap, and I thought they were a great opportunity that I just couldn't pass up.
It's funny how that happens, right? It's something, in our experience that I don't know if it just ends up getting put out there in the universe and things just happen to align. But it kind of sounds like as well, everything that you were going through, you kind of want to break that cycle, right? There's certain things that happen where that experience comes into play, and this opportunity comes up, and you think, this is a chance to be able to change things that are going on. We were having issues, with this, but I can work somewhere that can help, find a solution for some of this stuff. And those who come after me, they won't have to deal with that because we've done this. We've put it to the test, and it's working.
And we were always of the mindset of how can we make things better? We didn't just sit back on our heels and say, oh, it's just how it is. And so it was a very progressive agency, technology wise and just in general. And so we were allowed to do things that a lot of other agencies aren't allowed to do, not just physically, but also financially. And so it was always, how can we provide better patient care? What allows us to respond faster? What allows us to give our dispatchers and frontline employees the ability to be their best every day and reduce a lot of that tension, a lot of those things that cause negative morale across the industry in every facet of public safety. And so it was a great place to be. And like I said, I was content because of that agency where I was up in the East Texas portion of the state. And they were about the employees, they were about the personnel, but understanding patient care is obviously important. So what can we do to be better at that?
Perfect. How about you, Jeremy? What was your, what made you decide to make, this transition?
Yeah, so mine was kind of a twofold story. So I said I was a paramedic for all those years, and I honestly thought I would stick with the field career for a long time. It's in the family and that nature. So I was good with it. Unfortunately, I was blessed with some pretty poor anatomy. So for group awareness, it is possible to blow out your ACLs, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times if your anatomy dictates it. So I had kind of the writing on the wall that my longevity as a field operator was not going to last. So that was my initial transition to the communication center. So and that was, again, another one of those fortuitous circumstances. Wouldn't have wished for it, but it happened. So, and had a chance to finish out my tenure there in the communication center and really enjoyed it. And to be honest, got a little bit of the bug for the technology sector as a result of that. This was in the early teens here. So technology was really starting to become embraced more wholeheartedly across the industry and such. And then the second circumstance there that kind of led to the next transition was I have a wife who has quite a bit of wanderlust. So in the midst of our life there, we ended up living abroad and had a great opportunity to move overseas for a few years. And that transition into public safety in another country, I think, as everyone knows, probably isn't as simple as it is stateside here. So it kind of forced my hand into kind of dabbling in some other professions. So I ended up with a medical device company It was great insight into seeing how you can contribute to, in my case, the medical community, without actually being a frontline service provider. So when we got back into the States here, I kind of was able to stay connected with some group of friends I knew that here in Austin, Texas, and the tech sector is just alive and well. So it was almost, again, I always think by lucky stars, but I just kind of fell into it. Fortunately, a tech company that specialized in EMS data aggregation and things of that nature. So again, kind of, I think to what you said too, the stars aligned and things worked out is the best way that I can look at it. But it's been a wild ride since then. I've worked in the client services side of the house, really became quite interested, as Chad touched on there, with the importance of data and data aggregation and seeing the things that technology could do in that regard and providing valuable insights from every aspect, from dispatch all the way through to the on-scene responders and things of that nature. So very easy decision to stick with it and stay involved from that aspect, and realizing the small, with seemingly small things having the broader impact than I ever really could have imagined, is, that one-on-one field service provider provided.
Excellent. Jonathan, how about you?
Well, for me, growing up, my brothers, my dad, everyone's in the military. So I had a lot of respect for public safety. I never wanted to join the military, of course, but with that, for me, it was more about making an impact in the public safety arena. I really love how technology has changed the way we save lives. And I feel like everyone in public safety is a part of saving lives. It's amazing to me just looking at how, cell phones, when they first evolved from a shoulder bag to now they're in the front pocket. I feel like that about the way the industry is changing here for us in the public safety world. The agency I worked for while I was in an M1 center asked for my input on a new CAD system back in the early 2000s, and seeing the different vendors and features that were missing from our homegrown system and realizing the impact that we could have. My whole desire to remain in the communications center changed. I felt drawn to be a part of, and you already hit on that a little bit, about being part of the solution for the public safety arena. And basically with RapidDeploys, cutting edge innovations, it just felt like it lit that fire in me again to be a part of that solution and just really get out there and make a difference. I came from a previous company that did software solutions, but we were kind of boxed in. And RapidDeploy just really opened that door as far as pulling in everything that I feel is needed to help the citizens, the officers, the responders, everyone involved in the public safety. So I really appreciate the heart, the mind, and the thought that's given here at RapidDeploy when it comes to public safety. They really make a great effort as far as pulling in everyone and their roles in that public safety area. So that's how I started out. Definitely was not military cut out, but I liked the uniforms. I liked everything about it, but I just wasn't going to do military. So I definitely found my spot in public safety. And it was actually by accident. I'll share this with you real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I was in school and, I was doing very well. I thought my dad didn't think I was doing too well in school. So my sister gave me the idea, why don't you apply for this job in communications for the public safety? And I said, okay, I'll do that. She said, it takes about 2 years because they have a long turnaround with hiring. I was like, okay, by then I'll be finished with my degree and I'll see where else I can go within the city. Well, they called me that summer. I was on a summer job. My dad took the job, pretended he was me, got my salary negotiated, gave him a start date, came over to my job. And so immediately I'm panicking, like, who died? What happened? What's wrong? He's like, no, you need to tell them you're quitting because I'm going to move you to Winston-Salem. I was like, for what? He's like, I took a job for you. You're going to start August 3rd. So that's how I really got started in public safety. He
What?
kicked me out. I was the only one that got kicked out. Everyone else left on their own. But it was a good
That's
opportunity.
awesome. Yeah, again, some things just happen, right?
Right. Stars aligned, apparently.
Yeah. in some way, yeah. That is awesome. Listening to you talk though about starting from a bag phone to fitting in your pocket. Now I didn't have a bag phone. I did have like a brick Nokia, like one of those brick ones, and I thought I was cool. Like
Yeah.
the frame that I had on it was supposed to look like wood, but it was plastic, so I thought I was cool. You could pull the antenna out and all, but yeah, that was expensive to have.
It
But yeah,
was.
you take me back, especially because one of your colleagues, Melvin, yesterday when he was talking about the flip phones, and
Hmm.
the struggle that he had with the flip phone. Well, not so much the struggle. It was good for him because that's what he was used to using. But his family, his kids, watching him struggle, the way he put it, to send a text message that it took like 20 minutes to send this text message as he's hitting all the buttons and everything going around. I'm glad that my microphone was on mute because I was just busting up because I remember that. I mean, it's almost like an updated version of a rotary dial. If you have to do a
Right.
number 9, you're doing a lot of going
Hmm.
over and over. So it was pretty funny. And Lisa here in the comments says Zach Morris phone. If Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell, yeah, the big old phone, man. So
Oh,
thank
yeah,
you.
when
That
you
was
had to
good.
make a phone call and you had to pull the antenna out, excuse me, I had to make a phone call.
That's
Right?
right. Or it
Yeah.
took up half of your shoulder trying to use that phone.
Yeah, exactly. You've got that, or if you were cool enough or tried to be cool enough, you've got a beeper as well. You're like, oh, excuse me, someone is beeping me. I'm glad all of that is put together in one device now. But Lucas, how about you? What was your motivation, I guess, really to kind of make that transition? We know that you're still doing search and rescue and everything, but also what was your thought process and wanting to move over to the tech side as well?
Um, I'm the least talented of the crew of 4 here from RapidDeploy, and certainly the one with the least public safety experience. But for me, it was something that I started from the beginning as a volunteer EMT, and I still am. So it wasn't like a true career for me. It was something that I did in addition to the work that I was doing as a designer in the healthcare space.
Hmm.
And so when this opportunity came up, where it was, here's this blend of like the skills that I have, like the sort of professional skills that I have, and then this experience that I have outside volunteering and working in search and rescue. It was a unique opportunity to say the least. And I think a lot about, I have a lot of friends on the team who are, paramedics on boxes. I have a friend who's a flight medic that's on the team too. And I think a lot about building things for them, and making sure that, that the tools that are, that are being used to dispatch them, the tools that they're using, are helping them and not holding them back. Right. And I think a lot about the experience that I had working in healthcare before this, and especially the stuff that I did that touched technology. I think healthcare is a good cautionary tale of what happens when like technology is allowed to sort of I don't want to say metastasize, but like really dig into to a space and sort of get into every corner without some thought to how do we do this in a way where we're actually creating a net benefit to the people who are using it, right? Like I haven't heard of a single healthcare provider who's like, I love my electronic health record system, right? Because essentially it's a billing system and they're forcing these care providers to use it as like a patient charting tool, but it's not really built for that. And so I think a lot about how do we do things in a more sensible way? How do we think about bringing in technology but not add more workload to people who are already taxed? How do we start like taking away workload? How do we start using the technology to help people to be an extra set of hands, right? Like I haven't heard of a single PSAP supervisor who's like, I'm staffed up exactly as much as I need to be. Like I have all the hands on deck that I need, and like I'm operating at like everybody has staffing issues, everybody has challenges around fighting the technology. And I really want to be part of a team. And I think I am part of a team here at RapidDeploy that's trying to flip that on its head and say, how does the technology actually help instead of, holding back?
Right, exactly. And it goes with that, that same thing we were talking about earlier, how, having all of you coming from these different backgrounds, but yet still kind of the same, in public safety, helps to do just that. As you were saying, you think about the friends that you have and what you want to help build to be able to help them and everyone as a whole, and having all of you there to be able to give that input and say, this is the experience we had. These are some of the issues that we had, and let's see if we can tackle this. whatever we're going to be putting out there, we've got to think about, 1 and 2 and 3, and just really trying to help solve all of this, but also streamlining it, right? Because a lot of times, at least when I was in dispatch, and I mean, it's the same in a lot of places. You've got a bunch of separate, applications or software or whatever it is that's going on, which also calls for monitor, and everything. But to be able to streamline certain pieces, just to be, centralized right there, right? That's a big thing as well. And so I want to look really quick over here at the comments. Well, this is a question that's going to go out to all of you here in just a moment, because I want to see what you have to say about this as well. But before I get to this question, each one of you, I heard, kind of mention data. Now, when I was in dispatch and we had our dot matrix printer, man, geez. And I was in dispatch from 2001 to 2013, and we still had a dot matrix one in the back where we were getting our data out for like our phone calls. So you've got the ring, 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 and all of everything is just on paper. But thinking about it now, and what you all do as well there at RapidDeploy, would you have ever imagined that data on the piece of paper to be put into, these colorful applications, on the screen? I know you guys are doing, a lot of stuff with maps and analytics and everything. Would you ever imagine that? Jeremy, let's go with you.
Yeah, no, being honest, I would never have considered myself that visionary to have that forethought. I do, when I have time to sit down and think about it, it is kind of like we're living in a sci-fi world now. The capability we have just with the cell phones, like we just mentioned, things of that nature. So yeah, I never could have imagined it. Seeing it makes the eyes get even bigger to really kind of even think what is next. I mean, here we are, like you said, you ended in 2013. That wasn't that long ago. So 10 years from now, what's on the horizon there? I can't even begin to imagine what it is. Thankfully, we have some brilliant and talented engineers and product team that are making those guesses for us, and we're here to ride the wave. So I think the sky's the limit, to be honest.
Right, exactly. Jonathan, what about you? When you think about data and how it was, back when you were, dispatching and everything, and you still do it part-time. So I'm not sure what it is that you're working with now, but I know, again, for me, every time something would come out on a piece of paper, because I do graphic design and web development as well. And I would think, this is boring. Like, there's got to be a better way to make this sexy,
That's true. Now, I do recall we did have the dot matrix, like you mentioned. It was funny because we always, at the end of the shifts, I was a supervisor, had to tally up how many phones were over 10 seconds before they were answered, and had to justify why that didn't happen. So that was, gosh, we had to have an hour at the end of our shift just to get those things tallied. We do it throughout the day, but towards the end of your shift, it might be an influx of calls. So you'd end up having to stay over to tally out all those calls that were overrings, is what we called them. I think they've actually upped the stats a little bit now. So you have at least anywhere from, I think it's 12 to 15 seconds to get that call before it's considered an overring, which is great. Because back then, that was a struggle to get them. And we were short-staffed, as you guys mentioned. I think it was Lucas talking about how he hasn't heard anyone say they're happy with their software. They're fully staffed. You're fully staffed if you're paying overtime to about half the people that are in there. And but it's been a huge change. And when we first went with the software that we went with at my agency before I left, it was amazing that reports that were taking me a half a shift, or I'd have to start in the middle of a midnight shift, we actually rotated every week. So that was a different spill than having permanent shifts. It's just that your body got used to. You'd always take your vacation when you knew you were on day shift, because midnight shift, you could not sleep. It was the weirdest thing. Your body aligned to it. But those reports that were taking me a half a shift to get done took me less than 5 minutes at the time. And I had graphs to show, because I hated doing graphs, but I had graphs to show that would automatically generate. So it was just a perfect opportunity there. But yeah, like you said, that data has really been a great success with the solutions that are out there now.
That's amazing. What about you, Chad?
Yeah, so a couple of my strengths that that are my personality. The first one is competition, or I'm very competitive. But second, besides that, is ideation, and that's really what drew me to this side of the aisle, is the fact that I get to just sit and dream up somewhat maybe seem like harebrained ideas at the time, but it's trying to figure out where the industry is going, but also where does the industry need to go? As an organization, where do we need to be looking to bring us into the future right now? And more so for our customers' sake, how can we get on, how can we be on the front side of where technology is going, where data is going, but also trying to figure out how to aggregate that in a very concise and efficient way? Because already at this point today, there's so much data that we could put in front of a call taker or dispatcher or first responder, but it would be so much noise. It would be sets of data, it would be cameras, it could be walls of text that could be helpful if they had 5, 6, 7, 30 minutes to try and read through or decipher or figure out what they're looking at. So as a technology company, as a CAD vendor, as an analytics solution, as a mobile app provider, how do we take that data and really condense it down to what that responder needs, to what that call taker needs, to what that dispatcher needs, to what that administrator needs in that moment? And that's been really the fun part of being on this side, having the experience from the industry that I do, getting to travel, thankfully, getting to travel again to centers across the country and really sit down and have these discussions with them. Because back when I was a dispatcher, back when I was even a 911 director, I didn't sit and have a lot of conversations like this with vendors. It was us going to them saying, hey, we need this, and okay, you'll have it in 6, 7 months. 3 years later,
Right.
we're still asking for it, and we know other customers are asking for it. So it really is great being at a company like this, especially that's web-based, because you don't have to wait 6, 7, 8 months or a year or more for an on-premise solution or an actual software application to get updated, and then the agency choose to update it. Hey, RapidDeploy has an update. Refresh your browser. There you go. So that's the fun side of things, of really being here as on the front lines of the technology to support all the frontline workers and first responders.
Excellent. Lucas, how about you? You do search and rescue, but being on this side as well with RapidDeploy, how has it been for you to be able to like visualize this data? All of the stuff that's coming in and what you end up seeing. How's that been for you? That part of the tech.
Well, Chad took the words out of my mouth with the signal to noise ratio problem that I think we're going to rapidly encounter. Trying to make perfect decisions off of imperfect data is hard. And I think adding more data is not necessarily the solution to that problem, right? And I heard a stat somewhere, a saying somewhere, that's like every year humanity generates as much data as it has in all of the rest of like recorded human history. So it's, the amount of data that we're generating, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but it's exponential, right? Because everybody's got a phone in their pockets with sensors and super accurate locations. And, so we're adding more and more information into the world. And, I think how we streamline that and how we sort of present it in a way that allows people to make better decisions without forcing them to be the integrator that tries to glue all that data together and make sense of it, right? And I think what's going to be really interesting, is my world in like doing search and rescue. Like we're very analog in a lot of ways, right? Like we've got a lot of meat computers that we use to do a lot of that sort of like figuring out where do we need to go and what do we need to do. And I think meat computers get tired, right? And they work really hard, and it's not good for their health and well-being to be doing that for 12 plus hours a day, right? And so how do we start, equipping people with algorithms and machine learning and other technologies that help take that data and say, this is really what you need to know? And I think the interesting challenge there is going to be, how do we make that, how do we make that really effective, and how do we build trust, right? Because I think a lot of people, myself included, like if an algorithm tells me to do something, I'm like, trust but verify. Like I'm gonna go do it myself to make sure I come up with the same answer. And I think that's a really interesting space to explore, right? Is how do we actually synthesize that data into a form that like allows people to make really great decisions? Because what I worry about is that we're just going to keep throwing more streams of data at telecommunicators and asking them to figure out what sense to make of it, and eventually the data set gets too big, and that's just not possible anymore.
For sure. No, I fully agree. And over here in the comments, we've got a comment here that says, "I'm wondering how, when talking about data, I'm wondering how it will or can be used for this field, and how used against us, in parentheses, media or whatever. One of those, I hope we master it before it masters us." Yes, very much so. And then between video or drop off capability, it's kind of exciting to see where that will go, since still has a lot of potential. And also says, yeah, streamlinability is major. So that's a good comment there, especially the part about, mastering it before it masters us, because man, the media will jump in, and as we all know, will take certain things, and you're like, damn. All right. Well, we'll keep going on. Lucas, I want to start with you on this next one here. But what does a purposeful and meaningful career in public safety mean to you?
When I've not met a single person in this field that doesn't desperately want to leave the world a better place than they found it. But I think we're rapidly running into a sustainability problem, right? Mm-hmm. Like that can't come at a cost of burning out, 8 of Jeremy's ACLs, right? it was 2 ACLs times 4 per side, right, Jeremy?
Yeah. Go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, I think about friends with, blown backs, and, friends who have significant trauma from calls that they've taken and things like that. And, I think if we're going to build a career for public safety, there's a lot of reform that has to happen. And I think a lot of that has to make it a more sustainable career choice for somebody, so that they can do it for their whole life. And there is meaningful career progression, and there is, a sustainable way to do it that doesn't mean sacrificing their bodies and ending up, pretty beaten up at the end of their career. And, I'm not going to pretend that technology is the one solution to that problem, but it definitely shouldn't stand in the way of that happening, right? Mm-hmm. Like we should be getting out of people's way so that they can leave the world a better place than they found it, and do that in a way that they can, carry on and be in that career field for a long, long time.
Excellent. What about you, Jonathan?
Oh, thank you. Well, for me, just again, going back to being a solution provider, and whether that's on the front line or developing a software, or being, as I am, a training specialist to help enhance life and time-saving products, is what I would define as a purposeful and meaningful career. And alluding a little bit to what Lucas said, it's true. We don't want to wear people out. We don't have software that's going to be inhibiting them to do their job. So we want to make sure it's very easy to use, things like that. But there's so many things that come to mind when I think about my public safety journey. I recall or remember answering a phone several times within the 911 center, and just feeling helpless for the person who was screaming for help, because as we have technology today, it wasn't there back then. But for me, this purposeful and meaningful career is being a part of the team here at RapidDeploy, and it's helped me turn that feeling that I experienced so many times in the communication center into training 911 telecommunicators, who are the real first responders and officers, into the unseen heroes that are behind those headsets, those phones, and those badges. Just growing up, I always wanted to travel. I wanted to teach. I wanted to be a work with computers and things like that, and also be in public safety, just from my family's military background. And so I feel like I've been given a great opportunity here, um, because this is actually everything I wanted to do all in one job. So I actually am enjoying this process. But again, just the overall growth of technology and everything that has occurred in the public safety arena. I mean, down to where citizens now even feel more safe out in the world is just, we're really making some huge leaps and bounds
And
there.
it gives you that sense of not only satisfaction but pride as well, right? When you see those things come out and you hear
It does.
or even read some of the case studies that you all put out, like on LinkedIn or anywhere else, you read that and you're like, we did that. That's always good. Um,
That's
what
true.
about you, Jeremy?
Yeah, I think Jonathan and Lucas put some good points out there. I think it goes without saying, obviously, most everywhere we're getting this industry to help somebody, whether it's at the individual level or societal level. That's happening for sure. But I think like the most satisfaction that I've been getting of late, kind of moving in this technology sector, is breaking down some of those archaic, institutionalized ways of doing things that have existed for such a long time that have, like, quite honestly, inhibited our ability to do the job better and things of that nature. So right now, I think, yeah, that drives me quite a bit, that we're literally and figuratively knocking down walls to make information more readily available. We're doing a better job of identifying, like everyone has said in the comments field, like the quality of the data that's out there, and that's just not the existence of it and things of that nature. So it's a pretty easy thing to point to. And like I said, I think there are case studies and things of that nature out there that all validate this, that slowing down, being methodical, taking lessons from other industries that we've all been able to do as well and apply those into the public safety realm is just a net benefit across the board. So again, very satisfying at the end of the day to kind of have that knowledge that that's where we're headed.
Excellent. And Chad, how about you?
Yeah, so often we have duties or responsibilities in our life which fulfill an important purpose, but are usually not meaningful. We might try to infuse meaning, but that doesn't necessarily bring great meaning into our lives. Meaningful activities give us a sense of satisfaction, add to our sense of accomplishment, may even make us feel that we're doing something that makes ourselves or the world better. And Luke has kind of mentioned that. It's a special combination when we can engage in activities which are both meaningful and purposeful. And I always felt being a dispatcher and first responder gave me that sense of meaning, but it also gave me very much a sense of purpose. Helping others during the worst moment of their day and maybe even the worst moment of their life gave me purpose. And now being able to impact public safety worldwide, it's what inspired me to get up every day and go to work, regardless if it was day 3 or day 9 of consecutive night shifts. I did nights for 5 years, 12-hour shifts, so I feel your pain, Ricardo. But I love the evening shift. The evening shifts were the best. But now I have great meaning. I feel a great sense of meaning and purpose in the responsibilities I have doing what I'm doing now.
That's excellent. Yeah, that midnight shift, I worked 12 hours as well, and that was always fun because, especially full moon hits, then everything crazy happens, right? Or if somebody uses the Q word while you're in dispatch, then it all goes to hell, and yeah, that all happens as well. But I loved my time there, and there was so much that went on and that I learned that I was able to bring to the next part, to the next chapter rather of my own public safety career. And I've been doing it for so long. But once you get into this, as people say, you get bit by the bug. It gets into your blood, and it's there. So listening to all of you. The day-to-day work has kind of changed a little bit. Some of it is still the same and everything, but the mission and commitment, it stays the same. I can hear it in your voice, your tone. You've got this passion for public safety. But what I want to ask as well, because so much has happened in technology, but what really excites you more about the future of 911, driven by the modernization of technology? And Jonathan, let's start with you.
Sure thing. For me, the excitement is how much safer the world is becoming due to this drive with technology. I'm always laughing because I feel like there's eyes, cameras, there's signals, Wi-Fi everywhere. So, and this has really changed the world view and making it a safer place to live and even visit. The integration that's taken place for 911 and technology is amazing from when I worked in 911. The ability to assist the local community and also your surrounding communities, whether it's in your jurisdiction or not, has really taken down those barriers for agencies and truly opened the doors to the public safety world so that the citizens can feel even safer, as they're thriving throughout their communities. So I believe the merge between the two has allowed the communities to become more aware of their safety and also the ability to get help when it's needed in their dire times of need. So I'm really excited about how technology has really it's made the boundaries not so broad as far as your connection to your community, as well as with your officers who are out there, your responders and people that are out in the field. So it makes everyone feel like they are a frontline worker in any capacity in the public safety arena.
Excellent. Lucas, how about you? What excites you about the future of 911?
I think actually bringing it into the future. We've the the other guys on this call are probably going to roll their eyes when I say it, but public safety software is for the most part not great right now, right? And a lot of it is a vestige of a bygone era. I've had PSAP supervisors talk about the terminal based DOS based CAD platforms that they've used, right? And they weren't using them that long ago. And what I think is really interesting is as consumers, we know what a good technology experience looks like, right? Because we're all walking around with these amazing devices in our pockets, right? And using computers that have really great and beautiful and usable and intuitive software. And public safety software is not that. And oftentimes I've seen call takers and dispatchers, telecommunicators working against the software and not with it. And if they can make it work, it's not because the software is good, it's because the telecommunicators are good, right? And they figure out all the workarounds and they figure out how to make it work for them. But we're getting in the way with the software that we've built to date. And what I'm really excited by is, hey, all the best practices that exist everywhere else in terms of building really great and stable and performant and usable and beautiful software, let's bring that to public safety. There's no reason that public safety software has to be clunky and ugly and old, right? And obviously I'm biased because I'm on the design side of things, but I think that there's a lot that we can do, and all those things, feed into reducing task saturation and reducing fatigue and making faster and better decisions, right? And the software should enable that instead of being a hindrance to that. And that's what I'm really excited by in terms of bringing 911 software into the future.
See, and that's one of the awesome things as well, and what makes me slightly jealous, to the sense that everyone who is able to use this technology now. I think about it when I was in dispatch and stuff, and thinking, how would I have used this? I could have really rocked this using whichever platform that's out there, and but it's good. It's awesome to see, and but there will always be room, because something might happen. I know that when I was in dispatch, there would be times where whatever we were using, we'd have to go back to paper and pencil or a pen, and some of the newer crew coming in, they would say, wait, what do we do? What do you mean, what do you do? You see this right here? You see this? This is what you do. You just write it down. Yeah. but it's cool, to see all of this new stuff, coming in and just really seeing it applied to all just different types of incidents, everyday use, just everything. It's mind-blowing sometimes to see how a lot of the stuff has changed, but it's for the good, and it's a lot better. Chad, how about you? What excites you about the future of 911 driven by technology modernization?
Yeah, so we've covered a lot of it in some previous conversations, but excited to be a vendor that's driving that, and that this isn't meant to be a salesy statement or a statement you would expect to hear from a vendor, but excited to be a disruptor in the industry and to drive competition. Obviously, I mentioned I'm very competitive, but don't play ping pong against me. Being that disruptor is what the industry needs. As Lucas alluded to already, I mean, you walk into some of these dispatch centers and they're still using CAD programs from 20, 25 years ago. And or even if they just added in their center a year ago, it's the same interface that existed 20 years ago. And it's time to move forward. It's time to move on and give the frontline workers the data they need to make better decisions. And with the amount of data that we've talked about being available, I'm in a 911 dispatchers chat group, and one of the comments made the other day, and there was, as soon as any of these CAD companies realize that they can hire UX designers, they'll be rich. And I shared that internally, especially for Lucas and his team, because that's our passion and that's our drive right now of not just figuring out how to present the data, but and not that things have to be pretty. Dispatchers want things that work and are efficient and allow them to do their job in a very rapid pace. But from our side, we're figuring out how to also bring that technology and that user experience into our current times. And so that's the exciting piece, knowing that drones are becoming a thing in public safety, and that was kind of alluded to earlier, but not just drones with manned flight, but autonomous drones. And based on the call type that you just entered a traffic crash with injuries, the drone's going to automatically launch to that, and within minutes or even seconds, depending on the location, obviously, you could have real-time imagery being streamed back over the FirstNet network to the dispatch center, to the responders on the way, and now they've got eyes on immediately to that scene, whether it's a crash, whether it's a multi-casualty incident, whatever the case may be. A drowning victim right now, you talk about over on the coast. That takes time to launch a team. That takes time for them to locate that potential victim. The drones can be strategically placed and launched to those areas to provide near real-time location assistance for that potential victim. And just beyond that, the imagery, the satellite imagery that's available now to help responders at various scenes and figuring out staging points. But then, like I said, it goes back. The biggest piece to solve is how do we condense it all into who needs to see what and when, based on their persona, based on their role. So very excited to be on this side of the aisle, providing more situational awareness. I know that's definitely an industry term that you hear often, but I'm excited to see how we do that better through AI, artificial intelligence and machine learning. There's a lot that can be done to help reduce some of the repetitive tasks. All we talk about, even on the design side, is, hey, that takes 3 clicks to do that. How can we get it down to 2 clicks or 1 click? And just being very dedicated and having that understanding of what the dispatchers are going through at the time, what the first responders are having to do while they're using that MDC or that mobile device, and just really being intentional as a company, as an organization, for our customers.
That is excellent. That's what it's all about, man. And Jeremy, what about you? Close us out. What's as we go into the wrap up here, what excites you for the future of 911? And really, a lot of that future is here already. You all are working on this, but also, beyond. So, what excites you, man?
Yeah, so I think just in summary of what everybody else has said here, though, is we use this term internally quite a bit, but it's the democratization of the technology. You don't need to be a million call a year call center to enjoy the benefits of what we're building now. You can be a small call center somewhere out there with a seemingly very small budget and still be able to have access to these tools that everybody else is utilizing. So, like in summary, I think that's really what it is. What Chad said, what Lucas said, what Jonathan said. We're going to make it available to the masses, and I think that is going to revolutionize the industry as a whole. It's no longer going to be driven by a few key players. Everybody's got a hand in this.
Love it. Thank you all so very much for being here, being part of this session, and of course for for RapidDeploy being a diamond sponsor as well. We appreciate it more than you know. This session has been really good. There's a lot of good interaction that's going on in the comments as well. Everybody talking, going back and forth, and just getting to know each and every one of you, and you sharing your stories and your thoughts about technology and moving over to becoming an industry partner and being as you put it, a disruptor as well in public safety. Love that, because the saying of "it's always been this way," that just it just kind of destroys innovation, right? And it's a new day, and it's actually been a new day for a little while now. There's a lot of new stuff that's going on, and I love it. I'm so glad that that it is going that direction, because there's a better way to do things, more efficient, and it's just going to help everyone. Especially those who are in the chair, who are working with the software and all of these solutions. So thank each and every one of you. I thank you for being here, and it's been an excellent session. Thank you.
Thanks for facilitating,
Ricardo.
Thanks all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Ricardo. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
For everyone here, you are this is going to be available. It's unlimited, unless the apocalypse happens or something. You know what? Now, let me take that back. Let me take that out of the universe. All I'm saying is that this will always be available. The registration is going to be always up, and coming back to view this is unlimited. So make sure to come back and check this out. Also, make sure to go to withinthetrenches.net/conference. You can search all of the information on there, and make sure to check out RapidDeploy on there as well. We've got a company page and profile. Each one of the speakers has a profile with their picture and bio, and more information on the sessions that RapidDeploy has done for the conference. And again, thank you so much for being a diamond sponsor. We will see you all in the next session. The next tier that's coming up is the gold sponsor tiers, and then after that group, we will be kicking off the conference speaker portion with keynote from Sarah Weston, who is the founder of 911 Wonder Women Inc. So we'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one, everyone.